Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker and I have a tea that I'm going to wager that many of you have not heard of. It's a new tea for me. It's probably a new tea for a lot of people. It's a Chinese oolong, and I'm going to leave it at that for now as I kind of prepare this. And I'm sprinkling in enough to get that bottom inch and a half. It's a fairly, the inch and a half diameter of the bottom of my gaiwan here. It's pretty bulky tea, large leaves, so it's going to take a little bit more in order to fill that capacity, that area. I'm going to add enough water. My water's been brought to a low early boil, and been sitting there for just under a minute, so it's still got plenty of heat on it. So I'm going to put that lid on. I've actually got plenty of water wrapped around that lid to create a seal. So while that's steeping there, let me introduce this tea, talk about it. Like I said, a newer tea. This is from ChinaChaDao, which is an eBay-based company. Golden Key AAA 2011 Oolong. Little bit of information I could find about Golden Key. As far as I can tell, this is from the Chinese Jin Yaoshi. That's a fairly direct translation from gold and key. Triple A grade indicates a higher grade, although there wasn't a lot of indication as to what the stages, the degrees of grading there were for that. It is from the Wuyi area, Wuyi mountain area. This one's actually from the Wuyi City JLY Tea Company. That's source. It is a spring 2011 harvest, yeah, that's about all I've got. As far as purchasing, you can get 125 grams for $18.99. $19 for that 125 grams. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of get into this tea, talk about it. Now I know my package, if you're reading Chinese characters and you can pick that out, it says Da Hong Pao, but this was labeled, provided by the seller, by ChinaChaDao, Jerry Ma, and the contents here are labeled on the back and clarified as Golden Key. What I'm noticing about Golden Key is that it does bear a lot of characteristics of a Da Hong Pao. It looks similar to a Da Hong Pao in its size of leaves. You've got a nice bister type color here, grayish brown, moving over towards a bit of a lighter color. It does a little bit more of the olive drab comes out. These are long, wiry, twisted leaves wrapped along the main vein of the leaf. A lot of pieces are an inch, or several of them are over an inch in length. So again, similar characteristics there, but the aroma, this is it's interesting because I'm getting smells that I associate with a Phoenix Dansong, which is a Guangdong tea. It's further south. At the same time, part of my mind says, if you had a Da Hong Pao and you didn't oxidize it quite as much, or you didn't fire it quite as much, you would get some of the Dansong type peachiness, that tart peach kind of note that is characteristic of some Dansongs, but it's coming out here with a little bit more gentleness, a little bit more salty, possibly a little bit pinch more toasted sweetness than several of the Dansongs that I've tasted. So that's what I'm getting. I'm getting clues that this one hasn't oxidized as much as a regular Dansong. What also I've picked up, and if you have any information as well about this tea, it appears to be a newer kind of tea that has not been produced and on the market as long as many other kinds. Going ahead to pour here, you saw I kind of tipped my lid over pushed my lid over to the side to create an opening there, getting those last few drops. Color-wise, again, this was having some Dansong type characteristics there, but let me look at the wet leaf first. Okay, now what I find is, yes, there's still some of that kind of Dansong peaching type note. I mean, there is something that's kind of tart, fresh, peachy type, especially the sour yellow type peaches. That's coming out here. Pulling out these leaves, what I'm finding is they are greener than say a Da Hong Pao type of leaf. These look. This one I'm pulling out here. You see, it's nearly a full-size leaf. I have blotchy, darker brown, beyond rust red, but darker brown pieces that have blotches there, spots, indicating that some oxidation has taken place, but not on that. The green on the larger portion of the leaf indicates that most of the leaf did not get oxidized, did not react very much. This leaf was a little bit wrapped up, but it unfurled fairly quickly, fairly easily. Edges on this one, for example, almost no oxidation, or only a little blotch here and there. So again, lower oxidation, big full-size leaf, like what you might see with a Da Hong Pao. But then the aroma, going back to the aroma just a little bit, it's got a little bit of a sweetness there, and the sweetness that comes to mind is closer to a dongding type of sweetness, a Taiwanese oolong that's got a little bit of a honey type note there, a light, gentle honey note. Looking at the liquor there, I have seen this kind of golden orange, this kind of color with some Dansongs. Who, by the way, yes, can have similar levels of oxidation, similar, gentle, light areas of lighter or smaller areas of oxidation on those leaves. So, but here in the note, again, some of that kind of peachy note, but it's more subdued, and it's getting more towards a bit more of a roasted peanut, a little bit of a honey type note coming out. So it's bringing together those two areas. So let's go ahead and looking at this liquor, good consistent clarity. I mean, it's got the same color. It hasn't gotten murky. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a taste here. I pick up aromas of that peachy type aspect, but it doesn't hit like a Dansong can have. A Dansong can have a pretty tart, moving towards, in the extreme cases, moving towards astringent bite to it. This one does not have a pow of that tart tanginess to it. What happens is you get that kind of smell, and you think, and your mouth knee-jerk reaction is to start to pucker, but the aroma passes, and then you get a little bit more of that roasted peanut, that kind of honey type note that can come, like I mentioned, with some like a roasted dongding type tea, and or perhaps, like I said, an early roasting of a Da Hong Pao. As far as the texture goes, there's not really a lot. It drops off fairly quickly, which was surprising. There's not a richness, a thickness to it. And the aftertaste, again, it just doesn't carry a lot. This is a very front-forward type of tea. Let me give it another shot, though. See how it changes as it cools. Again, it's all there on the front. Previous off-camera tastings, earlier tastings, it's a very forgiving tea. My impression was that I steeped it, used a higher temperature. I steeped it for a longer time. I left the water in the pot, and it never got overly harsh or astringent. So it's a forgiving tea in that sense. But if you're looking for something with a rich, full experience of taste, texture, and aftertaste, you're probably not going to find it here. So I would give this tea an 88. It's got nice, interesting qualities. Like I said, it's a nice bridge if you're looking for something kind of in between a dongding and in between and the donsong there. So a little bit of tart, peachy, a little bit of a richer, a little bit of a honey type note there. This one's going to be fit the bill. This could be a daily use type of tea, but nothing that, for me, nothing that really sits back and causes you and challenges you to slow down and savor and pull it apart. So come back to Walker Tea Review for those quick moments of enjoyment and those moments to really sink your teeth into a tea.